Does anyone else feel that they have to clean their entire house before going on vacation, or you will completely lose your mind when you come home? Yeah, same, because I don't need my house to be perfect before I leave. I just need it to be better than this. Future me is going to come home. I'm going to be tired, surrounded by vacation laundry, hungry children, an excited dog, and approximately 1 billion things that need to be unpacked. Future me does not want to walk into a disgusting kitchen. So today I'm going to show you how I took my kitchen from this to this, while also packing, taking care of pets, driving people all over the place, going to the dentist, forgetting how many things I scheduled, and generally doing the invisible labor of getting an entire household out the door. By the end of this video, I finally understood why my mom was always the last person to get in the car, because apparently she was doing all of this. I want to start by saying that this was filmed over a couple of days. You can tell by my outfit changes, because that is just how my brain works. I am not the person who can necessarily look at my entire house, entire packing list, and just do everything in order. That sounds really lovely though. I need to do one thing. I'm going to get distracted by something. I'm going to remember something completely unrelated, and then hopefully I'll circle back to the first thing eventually. And that's okay. That's just how I roll, because the house ran away from me for a while, and when I looked around, I realized if I left for vacation without doing something about this, I was going to come home and immediately feel really overwhelmed. So this is me trying to help my brain out and giving her a helping hand. It also doesn't help that you're the only person who seems to be cleaning up after everyone. But that's another story. So my goal was not to clean the entire house perfectly. My goal was to make coming home easier. And that is really the way I try to think about vacation prep. I am not cleaning for the people I'm leaving behind. I'm cleaning for the version of myself who is coming home. The kitchen is always the first place I want to tackle, because for me, a clean kitchen really makes me feel like my life is at least somewhat under control, even if it absolutely is not. So I try to focus on things that I know are going to bother me the most when I come home. And for me, that's definitely dishes and the smell that's coming from the bottom of my sink. So I deal with counters, I deal with the refrigerator and the gross things in there, and just the general feeling that food has been accumulating everywhere. I also really love to cook one big meal a day or two before we leave, so that way we can just eat leftovers and I'm not trying to cook an elaborate meal while I'm also packing, because that's just not going to work. I'm not creating a whole new pile of dishes every single night right before we leave, because that's just painful. This is one of those things that really feels so simple, but it makes a big difference. If I can make the last day before a trip a leftover day, I am already eliminating decisions, cooking, and more dishes. And I need all the decision-making help that I can get. Another thing that really helps me is laying out my clothes before I pack. I call this lazy girl packing, or possibly smart girl packing. I'm not sure. You tell me in the comments. But basically, this was a lot of clean laundry that was laying around, and I was like, why don't I just lay it on the bed? And maybe we'll pack from this. I like putting everything out where I can see it, and sometimes I will lay out clothes by person, and sometimes my husband will literally pack directly from the piles on the bed, because these are safe choices. These are clothes that we know that we like. Honestly, sometimes I don't need to put them away, just to pull them back out and put them in a suitcase. That's just creating extra work for myself. When I can see everything, I make decisions, because if I'm staring in a suitcase, I'm suddenly thinking, well, maybe I'll need this. What if I want this? What if suddenly I become the kind of person who wears this outfit? No, girl, just stick with your favorites. This is where I really try to avoid panic packing, because panic packing is where you suddenly throw 14 extra things into your suitcase because you can't remember what you've already packed. And then you get your destination and you realize you have 3 pairs of black leggings, 4 shirts you don't actually like, and somehow no underwear. So for me, the visual is really important. because anxiety and ADHD together can really make you feel like you need to prepare for every possible scenario. This is the part of getting ready for a trip that I think people don't always see, because vacation prep is not just packing your suitcase, it's remembering all the things that have to happen while you're gone. I have a pet sitter coming, so I need to make sure the cat has food and litter and money for the pet sitter, and that the litter box is clean, and that the pets have everything that they need, and that the house is not disgusting for the person who's coming to take care of them, because of course a teenager is going to judge the state of my home. And then there is the dog and the kids and the food and the trash and the refrigerator and all the things that are technically little things, but when you add them all together, they become a giant mental list that is just floating around in your brain. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is the invisible labor of being the person who remembers all the things. It doesn't have to be a woman, it doesn't have to be a wife, but in my family, this is a role that I tend to take on. I don't think that my family is intentionally handing me a clipboard and saying, "You are now in charge of every single detail." But there are certain things that I know I am the person who remembers because I've had to, or because it's the way my brain works and it makes me feel better. #anxiety. If I don't remember these things, then sometimes nobody does. So I'm trying to get better at outsourcing some of these things and teaching them these skills. If another person in the house can do something, I'm trying to let them do it, because I don't need to be the only person who can make sure something happens. And I think my family has also just accepted that I am the person who needs the house to feel a certain way before I leave. That's really probably the crux of it. So if I'm going to be less stressed, sometimes the best thing I can do is give people jobs. Now I would love to tell you that I have learned from my mistakes and I no longer overschedule the day that I'm leaving for a vacation, but I would be lying.
Want to know a super ADHD thing that I did today? I forgot how many things I scheduled and thought it would be fun on a day I'm traveling to the beach to drive my daughter up to an amazing friend's house. We love them, but they live an hour away. So just got back from doing that. My poor neighbor who's pet sitting for us was standing outside. I was racing the clock in order to get back, and he was early because he's responsible. So of course he was there 5 minutes before I told him to. Anyway, I'm like, I was really banking on those 5 minutes. Anyway, it's 2:52 and we're leaving in a few hours. I'm running to the ATM to get money for the pet sitter, and then I have to get some more pet supplies at the grocery store because she has no cat food and no litter, so that would be really helpful to take care of my cat while we're gone.
And at some point, I looked at my day and thought, why did I do this? And the answer is, I forgot. Sometimes I just forget that all these individual things are actually going to happen on the same day. I tell someone, oh yeah, we're leaving for vacation tomorrow, but I'm also doing this, this, and this. And then they look at me like, why? And honestly, I don't know. If I could explain it, I would. But sometimes if it's not an actual crisis, I don't think it needs to happen immediately. One thing I'm trying to remind myself is the day I leave for vacation is not a normal day. I don't need to schedule it like a normal day. I need to leave room for the 400 things that will inevitably come up, because there will always be something. Someone will need something. Something will be missing. Someone will need to go somewhere. And I will suddenly realize that I have not eaten or had any water all day. Which brings me to an important part of getting ready for vacation. I also have to remember that I am a person. I'm very good at remembering that the dog needs food, the cat needs food, the kids need food, the pet sitter needs cash, the car needs to be packed and the house needs to be cleaned, and then suddenly realize I have been running around for 6 hours fueled by half a coffee. So I'm trying to remember to actually eat and drink water. So this is the smoothie that I've been obsessed with making this summer. Not sponsored. I just really love this thing. And this is me trying to make sure that I do not arrive at the point where I am so hungry and dehydrated that I become completely irrational about a suitcase. Because sometimes the answer to why am I suddenly crying about packing is actually you have not eaten since breakfast. And then eventually there comes a point where I have to accept that I am no longer dressing for the person I thought I was going to be that day. That was my attempt to look cute in that new outfit you saw me in. I really love it. It's super comfortable. And then I remembered that I get cold in the car and the air conditioning is aggressive and I need my comfort leggings. So it changed because there are certain things I am no longer willing to sacrifice for the appearance of having my life together, and comfortable travel clothes that I can sweat in are one of them. Eventually, I did manage to get everything into the car, 2 kids, 1 dog, all our stuff, and somehow I also managed to get the kitchen from this to this. My husband was driving separately on this trip. P.S. I don't completely just strap him to the top of the car. Anyway, he was driving separately. Honestly, this before and after is not perfect, but it is so much better. And when I come home, I know I'm going to feel better walking into this than I would have walking into the kitchen that I started with. This is the part where I finally understood why my mom was always the last person to get in the car when we're leaving for vacation. Because as a kid, I remember sitting in the air conditioning, or let's be honest, the windows were rolled down in the garage. What is taking Mom so long? And now I understand. She wasn't just packing her suitcase. She was checking the fridge. She was taking out the trash. She was making sure the pets were taken care of and the house was locked up. She was making sure that the oven was turned off and that everyone had everything they needed. So Mom, I'm sorry. I get it now. Because apparently getting a family out the door for vacation is a full-time job, and it ends approximately 5 minutes after everyone else thinks you should have already left. So if you are also the person who is always last to get in the car, I see you. And if you are getting ready to leave for a trip, my biggest advice is don't try to make your house perfect. Just ask yourself, what can I do today that will make coming home easier for me? Because future you is going to be tired, and future you deserves a clean kitchen and a happy heart. Thanks for the watch, and I'll see you next time.